That's all good.
I've never done the cloud recording before. Does it work pretty well?
Yeah, it's actually kind of nice because I don't have to worry about it. It just automatically goes into Kaltura.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So my thoughts loosely were that we would introduce ourselves and then just show off the spaces of our cute little studios and then just open it to kind of discussion. Does that work for everybody? Also, who is it that has the construction site?
Yeah.
That's me.
Yes,
I
Mike.
want
It's the
to.
perfect. I just
Yeah.
think it's perfect. So,
Well, I'll tell you what's funny is I would have taken a picture of it, but I was out of town for like a week and a half. Just got back yesterday.
no,
I
it's
almost,
perfect.
I know I almost sent someone a message like, "Hey, can you take a picture of where it's at right now?" And I was like, I don't even care.
It's fun. You're getting a new space, though.
Yeah. I mean, the hope is to get it up and running by the fall semester, so I've got like 3 weeks to
Good luck.
plug it in and troubleshoot and make sure everything works. And yeah.
Holy moly.
Getting like anxiety just hearing that. It's like such like like close to the so
It's
close.
like halfway there. I just unplugged everything from the old stuff. New chair, monitor. I mean, I'll probably tell everyone this again. So, but yeah, so it's like almost there. The one thing that I'm worried about is having to program like the DMX control for the studio lights because before they just went directly into. I mean, yeah, it was the old one button studio before, so it like all
Oof.
went through the little Mac Mini they had.
It's a naughty word.
Yeah.
Enough people left during the one button studio era that we can start trying this again. So I'm kind of excited.
New birth. Well,
Yeah,
guys, it's two. Shall we let
let's
our
do it.
compatriots in? Awesome. Hello and welcome. Hopefully everybody's in the right one. For Simple Studio. I was like, of course, like there's a last minute switch at it'd be ours. All right, cool. Oh, we've got like 12 people. I love that. All right. Um, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the virtual conference for ACTAL 2024. You are in the panel discussion for Is There Such a Thing as a Simple Studio Setup? I'm joined today by some amazing other folks. Heaven Harold over at Ohio University, John Williams at Miami University, and Mike Stridmatter at Hartford Community College. And we are going to be talking about our various experiences with setting up simple video recording studios and some of the unique challenges and surprises of those spaces. This is largely going to be a conversation and dialogue, but we thought we might introduce ourselves via our spaces first, and then we can jump into the dialogue. So, as I mentioned, I'm Oscar Keys. I'm over at Virginia Commonwealth University. We had this little gaming studio, put gaming studio in quotation marks, that was highly used by some boys who really liked FIFA World Cup games. And it wasn't really supporting any of the mission of our space and just started to smell kind of bad. So we proposed this idea of doing a simple studio, and I was told if I could keep the budget under $5,000, we wouldn't have to go through any kind of special thing. And so I put together a proposal, which I have a link for in here that I can share out. And essentially this is what that space became. So we have some curtains, a green wall. We got like a nice like black magic camera. And the secret for us was not thinking of it as a recording room, but secretly as a streaming situation that we could record directly into the computer. So we kind of bypassed people taking cards out, transferring footage, doing that kind of thing. And so people record directly into the computer, but we do it all seamlessly just through QuickTime. And so we bypassed the need for One Button Studio proprietary software stuff. And we're really happy with it. We tripled the use of this particular space, and it met like a pretty critical need for our base of just folks who didn't want to cry and make video recordings. The other advantage of that too was that because it was built in-house, we didn't have to wait on software updates. We can handle everything in-house. And it's just been really awesome. And we're really happy with how it turned out.
So this is my space at Miami University. We recently moved into the current space that you're looking at. I was in a much smaller room that was non-productive for podcasting and or video editing or video work at all. So I'm in the process of getting equipment for the Simple Studio. This was all came about when I saw Oscars last year at ACTAL. And I was like, wow, this is really nice. And he and I have had several conversations about this. And I'm updating our space, hopefully at the end or just after the first of the year. There's a process that we have to go through in our space to try and get it for ourselves through a competitive proposal process. But as you can see here, this is our podcasting stuff. We use all Rodecaster. We have Rodecaster, Rode mics. It is a pretty professional studio. I have had anywhere from professors to coming in to use it for themselves for doing their classes to having actual podcast like as part of the curricula. I had a professor come in one day. She wanted to go through the entire thing. She goes, "Well, I'm going to be assigning my entire class podcast for their finals." And we had a week's worth of people coming in and using the studio nonstop. So this has been pretty successful for us. You can go on to the next one. And this is the other half of the room, which we just moved into, which is about 3 times the space that I had before. You can see where Oscar's room was at. This is the pre for me. I've got all the lights. I've got a couple of Sony Alpha cameras. We do still have to do the transferring from card to a computer, and I would like to get away from that because I can't buy any more cards. Like they keep leaving my space. So having it streamed straight to a computer is going to be great for us, and that's what we're going for. We're using the same stuff. We're going with the Black Magic. I changed the audio to a wireless multi-channel lavalier mic system. I've got the LED screens. We're going to go with a track system like he has, but a little bit more extensive so I can pull them off to the sides. And I'm going to paint that far wall a chroma key green so that we can have the green screen, which is what the majority of the kids want. But there are some that are doing videos for oh my gosh, for getting money from people. Yeah, my brain stopped working all of a sudden. But that's what we're doing for it. We want to make sure that it's usable, which before it wasn't. They basically had to stand on the table in order to record anything in that space. So now they can sit next to the table, which is kind of nice.
All right, so this is my space. Again, my name's Heaven, and I'm from Ohio University. So this is way more simple than I think even Miami. So it's pretty simple. It's just a computer. The keyboard we got works digitally. Most people use it with GarageBand, and that was actually donated from a colleague of mine. It does get used pretty regularly. It's mostly for people trying to create music for like background music of their like blogs. That's what I was looking for, blogs. Let's go ahead and flip. I probably put too many pictures, sorry. So we don't have a whole lot of lighting, and I'll talk more about that later, but we have these lights, and they're just like basic LED lights, and they're controlled by like this wireless controller that's mounted onto the wall. And that's kind of the only lighting we have. The reason we don't need that much lighting, if you go ahead and flip, sorry. So we actually, I don't know about everybody's One Button Studio, but when we installed our One Button Studio, we got this reflective chromat curtain. And the chromat curtain works, it's got like glass beads in it. So like if you just shine like a circle green light on it, it like captures the green screen. It's kind of magical. But we have this light that, you know, patrons can use, and they'll just use it and attach it to their camera, and they can get like that green screen effect. So it's a minimal light that we can use, which seems to be working pretty effectively. The other thing that I wanted to mention is, so our studio is right next to study rooms, and it looks very soundproof, but it is not, unfortunately. So a problem we're having right now is that the study rooms, when people are talking and working in those study rooms, it can actually pick up an audio when people are recording for like voice audio. So that's been a big problem that we've had. I think once we just got like a brand new dean. So once our dean kind of settles in, we're hoping to like ask him to be like, hey, can we rework the soundproofing of this room or turn the other room into like a studio as well, just so that it's quiet. It makes great audio because we do have like sound batting in there, but it's, again, you can just hear people from next door. So that's kind of one of the struggles we're dealing with now, but really it's just a very basic, simple studio. And I think that's all I have, right? Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I saw my space. I knew it was me. A chill went up my spine. Uh, so this is as of the end of this last semester, my space. I'm Mike, by the way, Hartford Community College, about 30 minutes north of Baltimore. Um, and so basically, this predated me. I think this was all installed, I want to say 2017, but it was right when the one button studio boom was like it was happening, and Penn State was rolling out their stuff, and everyone latched on and said, "Ooh, yeah, great idea, we want that." And what I've been told also is when they opened it, they had a ribbon cutting, and there were some like board members that showed up, and it didn't work. So I hate to laugh, but it was like, boy, is that just emblematic of anyone who's experienced, using the proprietary one-button studio almost immediately unsupported software. So basically, we would have pretty minimal use. Lots of staff and faculty, I would say more than students, would come in. But in this picture, you can see also from the floor there was like a projector screen because there was a video projector in there because people just still wanted to do the old-fashioned, you know, make a video, point my stuff out. So as of the end of the semester, I've been converting it to be more of what we would call a simple studio. I guess you could go to the next slide if you want. I wasn't able to grab an actual picture because I was out of town for a little bit and just came back yesterday. But what you would see is something right now that is pretty similar to what they've got over there at the workshop at VCU, where it's, table off to the side, camera in the center. And so what I've added is a, I think it's the width of the wall green screen curtain that comes down, but also a black curtain track that you can pull in front. And the plan is to also use, QuickTime for, video recording and probably attach to it some sort of light mandatory training to use it. But we can talk more about that, I guess, in a little bit. But yeah, it was just about time because it was unreliable and it just did one thing and it didn't do the one thing well. So I think kind of un-one buttonizing the studio is kind of it was the promise of something simple, but I think if anyone's kind of moved on from it, they feel that they've been freed from the shackles of the one button.
Awesome. So I'm going to unshare the screen so you can see our faces. And I think I successfully spotlighted all of us. So, uh, but this is now the time where folks can ask us questions. We kind of intentionally chose folks who were at different stages and had different relationships to One Button Studio. In my university's case, I just said I don't want to do that. It was probably an option. Our medical library had purchased it, and I was like, oh no, don't do that. Like I got to see all the parts, and I was like, you need a master's degree to put this together. And I think the promise of the Simple Studio is that it's simple for users to use, but it is not simple for us to maintain. And so I think this model that we're kind of arriving at are things that we can build in-house and support in-house, and meets the unique needs of our particular communities. Like I love that Heavens has a keyboard in it. Um, and I think reflects that you had users who were wanting to bring a keyboard into the Simple Studio. Ours, we added a microphone, like a little Blue Yeti mic, because people were like, we want to do podcasts in here. And I was like, oh, I didn't expect there to be podcasts. And I'm sure as John and Mike, continue to update your things, you'll have things that you can add and modify, which would not be possible in sort of the One Button Studio package. You're really locked into what that is able to do. And so I'm really excited for what did you call it? One buttonizing the Simple
Yeah,
Studio.
basically.
Like TM, I want that on a t-shirt. So you guys are welcome to ask us any questions, or we can ask each other questions if it's an awkward silence. So, but yeah. Questions from the audience?
Somebody has to be first.
There's a hand raised, Susan.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Hi. Do any of your setups have multiple cameras?
We do not have multiple camera setups because of the nature of it being for first-time video users. These are people who usually don't have the
Okay.
sophisticated editing skills
Okay.
to do
And
the
are any of you using a 4K camera?
Our
I will
Black
be.
Magic is 4K. Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
So
sorry, a follow-up to that is one camera, but one of the things that I started to do, even in the One Button Studio, and plan to continue to do, is really emphasize uh, the idea that you can bring your phone in there to make a video, and to really emphasize the space itself, the studio space itself. And so, we've got the clip on so you can put a tablet or your phone on there to record, because you might just be looking for a place to go, or with a plain background, or with a green screen. And so I think that for a lot of people, as much as you try to sell them on the simple thing, there is some fear there. And it's like, hey, if you have a device in your pocket that you're used to using, please feel free to bring that in, and we can clip it on and you can use that. So, as far as multiple cameras, I guess there could be a situation where someone uses both, but that's totally up to them.
Yeah.
sorry, I think it's cool you mentioned that because I was just about to say that we actually have devices to support people recording with their cell phones. So we have special stands and we have a ring light that has like a clip to hold your cell phone. And we've found that most patrons prefer to use their devices because they can upload it to their cloud. And we don't have cloud downloading, which sounds awesome. And I would love to, because I feel John, I keep losing those bad boys and it makes me sad.
Yeah.
We had a student who was doing like a stop motion animation project, and like brought in, like went and checked out a DSLR from the desk and then set up in the Simple Studio for a 4-hour recording session, because they just wanted to use all the green screen stuff, and then they brought their own green screen box to do stuff in there. We've had some like really interesting use cases that I would not have expected for our space, just because I think it's like inviting. Another piece of context for our space too was that we had a video studio that had this beautiful overhead grid. It had a beefy $20,000 4K camera in it that once again required a master's degree to know how to use. And people would come to the orientation, but then not come use the space. And that was, it was like heartbreaking because the space was just too intimidating for the people who were looking for these easier setups. So now we've turned that into an advanced XRAM, which is extended reality and advanced media studio. So our provost loved the sound of that, and then made the Simple Studio that actually met the needs of most of our patrons, we found. So I love that you have stuff ready to go for your cell phones, though, Heaven. I'm like gonna steal that.
I just put that to my list as
Yeah.
well. I really did, because I was like, oh, that makes sense. Well, because you can, I mean, most of the kids want to do like a social media post or something like that. It's the ones who are coming in that want to do larger projects that are filming multiple people at the same time. That's why I went with like I like the shotgun mic, but I thought I wanted like one of the groups that we had come in one time for my other studio, they wanted to do a green screen. They wanted waist up, so they looked professional on the top, and they were like pretending to be a news anchor desk. I didn't have a good enough microphone for them for each one of the participants to be able to use it, so that's why I'm going with the multiplex for the like a multi-channel wireless system for lavalier mics, is that I can support up to 4 mics on it. So it's
Nice.
like I think I'll try that out.
Yeah. We have some wireless Sennheisers that we have, like it's like a dream that we can support wireless lavs. We have been asked one time for them out of, I guess, our 500 uses from last year. So I'm just gonna hold on to it until I'm asked more aggressively. We do have a teleprompter for ours, but our teleprompter is an iPad and we do it by request. So our student staff are trained to use it, not patrons. So they have to send in a special request to use it, but we help them load everything. But we found like I had to go to like the 11th page of B&H to find it, because I was looking for something I didn't have to put onto the tripod, something that I could just keep on a stand and bring out as needed. So we found like a really cute little iPad-based teleprompter system that was under $200 and nice.
You know what? We must have the same thing because I've used the hood ones before where you just stick a tablet in, but then to have to put that on and off, and it's just a total headache. So yeah, we've got the one that's a standalone. You just basically stick in
Yep.
front of the camera, and more than anyone, I think the staff that use it, like we have a lot of like administration that want to come down and make like
Yep.
welcome videos for adjunct faculty or something like that, where they will really want to use the teleprompter. And so, yeah, I think just having that available, because some people don't even know to ask for it unless you say, hey, and by the way, you can use this, you know?
Yeah, I was looking at an add-on. So I'm at the point where I'm just about to purchase, so I keep adding things on. But I went ahead for one of the slightly more professional teleprompters so that I can just have everything load into the computer and then show up on there. And then my plan is to have the talent monitor be on the desk, kind of facing the primary user of it, so that I can have that all there and I don't have to worry about taking it on or off, but you don't also have to use it every time either. So I'm trying to think of easy for me and easy to teach to the kids. So
Yeah. So, and I think a lot of it comes with like just your staffing flexibility too. So like our student staff are 19 students. We get to be very picky about who we hire.
yes.
So, and folks who might have smaller staffing might not be able to be like, oh, I'm going to train everybody to do stuff too. So, but I love our simple studio. Someone just called it their beloved the other day, like a patron,
Oh,
and it like made me so happy.
that's
Uh,
your baby though. That thing's gorgeous. I love that room.
guys. I mean, I also love Heavens. That's why I was like, you have to be on this panel like immediately. I didn't realize that your green screen was done through light. I thought that was just so neat.
Yeah, I
Uh,
just brought that up too because I was like, I've never heard of this, and this might solve a lot of problems for me. So
so we just painted our,
Popular.
but
Paint works too. That works. I like that. It's artsy.
it comes from my old grad school days of I had to paint the psych every other weekend.
mm.
So I know that Rotzko Alpha 65 real good. Um, so if anybody there is a specific paint that a company in LA owns that everything is calibrated against, and that's how you get the best green screen. It's like $95 a gallon, but then you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't like reflect light as much, so it's like very, very matte. But anyway, that's also on, I think, on the list. I was like, I need this paint. Um, but I just threw the budget proposal link, which I think is something I had shared with both Mike and John as they were working through their spaces. And this is not a like one size fits all, but this was like something that worked for our particular space and needs. So, and we had some pre-existing sound treatment from when it was a gaming studio that was already in the space. So that would probably be something that you would have to add to your
Mhm.
way of thinking about it. Sound is such a special issue.
Oh my God, is it?
Yeah. But any other questions? Sorry.
Oh, I had a question. So do y'all get requests to do like screen capture and video simultaneously? And if so, how do you handle those? Right now we're using Kaltura Classroom and I've dealt with some weird issues with it degrading the video quality. And I'm like, okay, we could use OBS, but that might scare a lot of people very quickly.
Yeah, ours is, I will say for our simple studio setup, because the computer doesn't face the camera. So ours is like the person is looking at the staging area. We haven't had a lot of requests for screen recording stuff. Usually they're using it as to be like a talking head. So, but I
Um,
usually do, but maybe some other folks have.
I have, and primarily what I do, and it freaks people out because it's like I've got decent Logitech 1080p cameras, webcams that we use. They want 4K, and I'm like, you don't need 4K for what you're asking for, but they want to do screen capture with like whatever their slides or presentation are behind them. We use Camtasia specifically. I believe we have a site license for that. Um, on our university, but it works and it works really well and it's pretty easy to pick up. And there's enough YouTube videos out there that if you needed to self-teach, it's easy.
Oh yeah, we have
Doing
Camtasia too. It's just a matter of getting everybody used to it, which is a little
used to it.
challenging.
Yeah.
So what we've done, well, what I do here primarily is when we're bringing in a new piece of software or something like that, we internally need to learn it ourselves so that we can be at least halfway mastery-ish of it, like we've got it. Um, but then just telling them like this is the project, this is what we're going to use, and this is what you'll use moving forward, and it's going to be the best product for them. And as long as you stay on top of this is the best product for them, they tend to go, oh, okay, well then I guess this is what I'm going to use. And it's like, and then suddenly they come back with, hey, I just learned this new thing with Camtasia. You want to know about it? I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you very much. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have them, we just show them how to use Zoom and then to put themselves in it and make a screen recording. Because most of our faculty also knew how to use Zoom. So we just teach them like you can have a meeting by yourself, and they're like, whoa. And then they stop crying sometimes. That's been our experience. But we do like do your capture in Zoom. If it's just simple trimming, we have Kaltura at our campus and we just show them the basics inside of there. If they're doing anything more advanced, we are a creative campus, so we've been moving people towards Rush as the editor of choice. There are still limitations there, particularly around green screen. And I'm gonna hold my breath, but I don't know if you guys have seen any of the direction Adobe's been taking with Express and some of the cloud-based video editor stuff to try, I think, and compete with WeVideo. But that's looking really promising, I think, for like where our faculty might be. But that's if you've got a creative campus. But I think Camtasia has the best like collection of assets for like pointers and different things to make it easy. I've also seen some faculty using Canva to edit their videos if they're short because they like the drag and drop ability of how they already know their
Oh,
presentations to work, or they're recording their audio directly into Canva. Um, I know our IT doesn't love that because we don't have a Canva license, but that is something I've seen more and more faculty is using the video features inside of Canva.
Hmm.
So
so we actually do the same thing. We're a Microsoft campus, so we'll have them use Teams and then record themselves that way. And if it comes to screen recording, if that for some reason isn't an option, they can use QuickTime and screen record that way. And you can do a voiceover with QuickTime with the new update. So we'll have them use that. And those are kind of our only two options, which kind of aren't great, but
Yeah, I think for like kind of proprietary software for doing screen recording, Camtasia it is good. It's really good at the thing that it does. But yeah, we use Teams, and I try to tell people like I think I've tried to make our studio form in a way that lets me know right out of the gate that you're trying to do a screen recording. Because I think people are like, oh, I need to do a recording, so I'm going to come to the studio to do a record. Where really they just need to do a screen recording. And so I've tried to make both the language on it and I think the questions for me to just get that information just out of the gate so that I can intercept them and say, hey, actually, there's a real easy way to do this on Teams, or if you're just a straight screen recording on QuickTime, and even I think I had them change the link on our website on the studio page to also include. I have like a how to record your screen lib guide that has how to do it in QuickTime, how to do it in
Mm.
PowerPoint. I mean, how to do it in anything that might already be on your computer. Because I think, I think for some people that's a self-evident thing of a screen recording versus a video recording of themselves in front of, and so I think that's I've encountered that enough times to really try to point people in the right direction without me necessarily having to talk to them.
Do you want to drop a link to that libguide in the chat, Mike?
Yes, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Other questions? These are great.
Do any of y'all use Clipchamp at all? Like, I know that's kind of an up and coming thing because it's Microsoft owned now. I was just wondering because I was
I've used it for a summer camp before, back when it still let you do the 480 export for free. So I mean, it's nice as a web-based browser. I think I don't love having students sign up for something with their personal data. Um, and so I'm trying really hard to stay in the VCU ecosystem of things that we have access to. But I've certainly heard of Clipchamp. I think it's kind of like Filmora in that way of like it's something that students find when they Google video editor or it's like a Wii video. But it is like it's pretty nice for what it does, but I think I have some real data concerns about it because it's so accessible. Its terms and services. It seems like it will own anything you make in its system
that
as
makes
well.
sense.
So, but I don't know about with the new Microsoft license, but I'm sure it's training their AI or something. Not that Zoom isn't.
As we cloud record
Me
right
is
now.
Zoom listening. Oh God. Yeah.
Who else has got questions? I want to hear real horror stories about things that aren't working. Because for me, that's always the fun part of like
Trying to figure it out.
getting to know like what hasn't been working and what you know. For me, I think that's the official term. People always say, "What are your pain points?"
Yeah.
That's a little too corporate for me, but like for me, it's like what are things that aren't working for people? That's I mean, I love hearing about that kind of stuff.
On a different note, I'm curious, for those of you teleprompters, how often do those get used? I've looked at them and just haven't quite pulled the trigger because I just not sure there's going to be the usage or not.
I can take the so for us, I would say we have power users. So for the people who need it, they need it and use it a lot, enough to kind of justify it. We typically have faculty using it for their lectures or welcome videos, and we use it for a lot of our internal produced stuff. So we have like librarians who do their welcome videos, or a dean wants to make a statement or something. So it's got enough in-house in library use as well as these like power user faculty folks that if I took it away, I think they would be in a hard spot. Um, and we could do a better job at promoting that we have it. I just am like, I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of scale up.
No,
Well,
I'm totally with you
mhm.
there. People definitely use it enough that yeah, if it went bye bye, they wouldn't like it. But yeah, there is because it does take kind of an extra effort to make sure they load their document in, and we get that uploaded for them. And they're the kind of specifics of, well, what speed works best for you. I mean, there is a little bit of working with it, but you know, for us, it gets used enough for those same uses where it's just like usually little videos, 30 seconds to a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I mean, really, in that range is kind of what we have, faculty mostly for like course introductions on. I was about to say black, but we switched to bright spaces here on bright space. Um, so yeah, that gets used a lot.
I know that when we had two for a while, and it was the kind where you stick the camera inside of it and the mirrors in front of it, and the iPad flashes up. They were great, but the mirrors kept breaking because the students kept dropping them. It was awesome. So we decided last time not to. And then we had some complaints to start with, but we were like, we don't want to invest another, like, however much money into buying a whole nother setup just for it to break. And because our studio was so small, we didn't have a really good storage place for it to be safe in the space away from the normal recording. So we chose not to go back to it. I think there is going to be a sigh of relief when we say that we've got a teleprompter back, and people I think will start coming back more often or more frequently to do that. I already got used
Yeah,
all the time.
I think along the same lines that I've kind of just fell into the thing of encouraging people to bring their own stuff. If I see that there's a need for a teleprompter, I'll let them know, hey, here are some teleprompter apps. The way I kind of swing it is if you want to rehearse before you get here, but then really, then I just tell them, well, you can use your phone or your tablet, whatever you want, as the teleprompter on the thing. Just flip it the other side, and that actually does save a lot of time and energy to kind of hold their hand through it because if they already have a teleprompter app, and again, the sell for me is to rehearse before you get here, but really, for selfishly, it's like so we can use your stuff and just like not have to worry about doing it myself.
I
Yeah.
really need to get on board with the teleprompter. We don't have one, and we've not been asked. But I feel like it'd be helpful.
Once
Yeah.
you do,
Um,
the people will use it.
hmm,
Yeah. But it seems to have been, like I said, it just the iPad or using like a mobile tablet of some kind seems to be the way to go. Don't pay for any of the like $2,000 ones that have to live on the tripod. That I was asked to do that by administration for a reason in our old advanced studio space, and it made this camera that was already very intimidating look like a monster. And so I was just like,
yeah.
this is, and then no one ever used it anyway after I put it on.
Well, that was
Uh,
a scary space to begin with, though. You're
yeah,
talking
it
about
was a
that bigger
terrifying space to
space?
begin with.
Yeah.
And then you throw a teleprompter, like the kind you would see at like a news
Hmm.
press release. I was like, oh my God. But yeah, I think one of the big themes that I'm seeing through like a lot of our spaces is really that like so much of the simple studio vibe is just it being inviting and not looking intimidating. I think a lot of times people want to see the bells and whistles of an innovative media hub, and it's like that will attract
Hmm.
a very particular type of audience, but not the ones who need our services the most. And so I think we're trying to figure out a way to still look cool, but like not be intimidating. And I think that's not a part of what the one button studio setup did either. It's still a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree. Because the one button studio, well, that was the initiative, right? For one button studio to not look intimidating. But and I forgot to mention this, but we had installed the one button studio during the pandemic, when nobody was here. And then once we were out of the pandemic, people were just struggling with it. Like they were like, one button, there's tons of buttons. What are you talking about? Like, so there was just like a lot of frustrating, like trying to get them to learn how to, I don't know. And of course it was out of house, like you guys said, so we had to like call people to fix it. So the simple studio was just, it has been great. To go back to what Mike was saying though, some pain points, which I assume most of you probably won't have this problem because we had converted a study room into a studio. So we're still just struggling with soundproofing. But the pressure point that I've noticed is students not having a space to do telehealth. They keep using that studio to have therapy sessions, which is great, but it's not soundproof, right? And we just currently we do not have a space on campus where students can like have telehealth. And they think that that's the right room because it has all this sound batting in it and it sounds soundproof when you're in it. But I think it's the ceiling. We really need to get some soundproofing on the ceiling. But then the study rooms next door can hear it. So you can make great audio, but people can still hear you. And that's kind of the problem we're having right now.
I don't know.
And that's a struggle no matter what, because I mean, there's a difference between soundproofing and sound dampening, and that's mostly what you have in that room is sound dampening. Because I've been doing a research into this because I've got an elevator shaft at the end of my room that I need to try and soundproof, and I'm on the struggle bus with that. So I'm like, I'm either going to have to do the room within a room with the floating walls and floating floor just to try and dampen that down. It's been, oh yes, I'm sorry, sound treated. Yes, I'm sorry. You're right. You're correct. Sound treated. It's all absorption, but it's all sound absorption. But yeah, my room is treated with sound acoustic panels right now on the podcast end. I don't even want to get into it on the video end until I get all the better equipment down there. But I mean, makes good audio, but I can hear the ding of the elevator. It's just, yeah, it's miserable.
We also got put beside an elevator shaft. I love that. I didn't
See,
think we had.
yeah,
Yeah, our space is I think 20 feet from the elevator, and you can't hear the doors, but you can hear the ding.
yeah, ding.
And yep, and for most videos, it's fine. If someone's just there and they're talking, you'll never hear it. But I'm interested because we did get Blue Yeti for people if they want to record like straight audio narration or podcasting. I'm I'll say I'm worried. That is, I'll give people a forewarning. But yeah, that's to be determined.
If it's any comfort, Mike, we have found that the patrons who use a space like the Simple Studio are also the least picky about the sound.
That's true.
If that makes sense. Like your
Oh
advanced
yeah,
users are
sure.
the ones who are going to want more proofing, but we found that our base for the Simple Studio was just like it's a place that's clean, it records easily, and there's help available, if they need it. And it seems to go a long way because I come in and I'm like, did you hear that the AC is broken? It's making this terrible rumble noise. And they're like, no. And I'm
No,
like,
what?
oh, well, let me put in a work order for that. But
Yeah.
I'm amazed at what will pass for them. And also, you hit that auto remove background AI
Yeah.
thing these days. And
Hmm.
I don't know if anybody wants if you could have access to the Adobe Podcast beta app, the actual app is kind of garbage, but the clean your audio button, worth a
Ah,
thinker.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to talk. That's something I wouldn't mind having in my personal life.
yeah. We did use it to salvage a really badly recorded like our HVAC was broken in a very important lecture that was getting recorded and
Oh,
threw it in there and I threw it in twice and it kind of
nice.
fixed it for the most part. I still thought it was kind of weird, like the noise gating was bad. I'm getting on a tangent, but if anyone else have any
Yeah.
questions?
I have one for you, Oscar, because it's something that I know that we haven't talked about yet, and I didn't see in your actual first proposal. What do you use for sound treatment in your room?
Yeah, so they were pre-existing and Eric sent these to me. I might have to look that up for
That's
you.
fine.
It's a specific company. Um
I'm
but
interested because when I walked into that room, you could feel the sound treatment, like you know what I mean. Like you're walking from an open space into that. It's a smaller space, but it really dampened down the bounce. And I'm just very curious as to the treatments that you use in that room.
yeah, I will look that up while
Thank
other
you.
people ask questions.
Anybody else have questions? We'd love to make answers up. That's right. I said it the way I said it. Yeah, nobody.
I'll ask a question, even though I'm literally, two doors down from you, John. So my biggest fear, and I think the reason I get so anxious helping students in the studio is I'm so scared that I'm going to lose their files. They're going to spend all that time recording and then their files are Has that happened to you guys? Because it did happen to me last summer and it was horrible. And if not, what can you do to make me less scared about that? Or what can you say to make me less scared about that?
Um, I'll let Evan take this one.
Yeah.
Um, well, so there's only one time I've had that problem, and it's that their computer crashed, but they use Adobe Pro. We're not a creative campus, but we have Adobe. You can use it for free in our center, and people will use that. And Adobe auto saves everything. So sometimes their computer will crash and they'll freak out about it, but we're able to recover it. So I've not had a problem where something was lost. I don't know. Like, I mean, not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm sure it does, but as long as they're using some kind of Adobe product, or I think even Microsoft now does a lot of auto saving. So always check the recovered files or online somewhere, OneDrive.
Okay. So hopefully it's an irrational fear, but that's like I don't know why. I think because it happened that one time, I'm like so
Well,
freaked out about it.
and I will say for specifically for our space, is that we have I have it set up that you record straight to the computer using Audacity, but I also make sure that they hit the button on my Rodecaster, so it records to the Rodecaster. So if something does happen like that, I've got it on the computer hopefully, and then I also have it on the Rodecaster. So even if everything got unplugged, I have up until that certain point that you have all of your audio still. So always hitting that button on the Rodecaster, making sure it's red saying recording, you should be good all the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and
That makes me feel better.
we have an external hard drive. We have found with QuickTime that even if something gets cut off, it will still, it's like making that video file as it goes. We've had that like corrupt one time when we had a power surge, but I think that had more to do with like a power surge than otherwise. It is one thing that is different than recording to a media card. So there is always the risk that when it's connecting through, we one time had a student that we didn't realize ran a 2.5 hour podcast session directly on HD video, and they had no intention of even using the video component. They just didn't know how else to get the audio. So they had made a 200 gigabyte
Oh my God.
file, but we had a 4 terabyte drive in the space, and so it was fine. We just made sure that we made sure that our auto location for where the recordings were going was onto the hard drive. QuickTime will try and save it directly to the temporary cache, and if it had done that, I don't know what would have happened. So just making sure that it's pointing towards a hard drive, and also unfortunately, like losing files is a rite of passage of doing the type of production we do. And I think just, you know, so it might happen. And I think like a lot of them have attempts to try and salvage stuff like that. But we live in a society, I suppose. It's my answer.
Yeah,
But it's a
this was a
well-warranted fear, and it is hard when it happens. We've had students lose stuff. Usually
this
it's
was a
search.
I was going to say a big conversation I had with our ITS people when they set up the Mac for what we're going to start using in the fall, because their big thing was like, hey, if you have it networked and they use their actual school login credentials, it's like you don't have to worry about the computer being mucked up with all those files. It'll clear right off. And I said, yeah, I don't want them. I said, this is going to be a supervised room. It's not going to be just like a regular, just like computer lab computer where people are leaving stuff behind. They were like, yeah, yeah, definitely don't do it that way. And I said, no, I do want to do it that way, and I don't want to have people have to log on every single time and make sure the camera's connected and go through and do all that.
Mhm.
And so that was sort of a push and pull, because I think their priorities, rightfully so, are kind of data safety and all that kind of stuff. But if we're talking about like video files, yeah, we want to hold on to them at least for a little bit. These are supervised. This is a specific supervised space. This isn't some random computer. So we had to do a little kind of selling on them to say, hey, this is a lab computer, for lack of a better term.
I just dropped the link to the acoustic panels that we used. So they're
Already
really
shopping.
nice. They come in different colors.
Yes, I'm already shopping.
Okay.
I have this
We have
long list
three,
from today.
we have 3 minutes left, so I think we might have time for one more question, and then we gotta start transitioning to get ready for the next group of people coming. But any last burning question? Yeah.
I'll
Oh
ask
yeah.
something. Y'all, it was just mentioned, but like we're all kind of dealing with these interactions with IT and trying to describe how these devices work and how they need to work. And I would love to hear more of how you've found that process in your space.
I will say for me, it's been easier probably than most. I used to be a technician in a former life, so I have a close relationship with our internal IT department, and he's given me admin access on all the computers inside of our space, and I have a couple of computers that are like staff computers, so they don't go under the public policies at all. So I mean, like he knows that I will treat that with respect, but it also frees me up to be able to like, oh my god, there's this one piece of software that it's the only thing that will work to do this one specific thing for this one niche case. I can download it, install it, and go to town with it, and then just get rid of it. So for me, it's been a much different case than probably most.
You have admin access? Jeez. Anyways, no, I mean it's I think it's one of those things where I think that if you are in creative technologies on a college campus, your relationship with your IT department is going to be different than others because you kind of have to not like beg them for more, but there's a thing where maybe they do trust you a little more, but they're afraid to kind of hand the keys over, which is not uncommon. But I think the biggest thing for me was what I just said, where it's like you really have to explain clearly the thing that you are trying to do and why you're trying to do it, and then just say pretty please. The one specific thing I did have an issue with was when I said, well, what if it wasn't a networked computer at all? What if it was literally just come in, it's not even hooked up to the internet? They said, well, then we can't have any Adobe software on it because our license is that it it can't be on a networked computer. And so there's been kind of talk around that, and I said, well, let's see what happens if we don't network it and don't have Adobe, and then let's see what happens if we do have Adobe. What if we had a second computer in there? One's the recording computer, one's the editing computer, but then that's a little less simple. So yeah, I don't know what the answer is going to be for us. I'll update everyone in the fall.
It can be a battle at times. Our Simple Studio is a Mac computer, which our IT struggles to support. But we have found in our case, because we have the option to go either way, that it was easier for us to set up things on a Mac. But yeah, it's a process. We have our own internal IT folks at our library who help manage. We have a good working relationship, but there can be problems with like deep freezing the computers or making sure that the auto login works and stuff like that. But we do have a better, I think in some ways the Simple Studio relaunch gave us an opportunity to revisit how we set some of that stuff up. So I think we came out stronger, but there was certainly a process. What about you, Heaven, in IT?
So, I don't have admin access. That's pretty sweet. Wish I did. The problem that I face is that I think people that are not IT assume that I'm IT simply because I use technology, which is very frustrating. I am not an IT person. But when it comes to the Macs, the IT person who takes care of our Macintosh computers, he's an incredibly intelligent person and he really knows how to work them. So I'm very lucky in that regard. There are times though when it's communicating. It's trying to like sometimes I feel like I have to over explain to the point where I feel like I'm being passive aggressive about it, but I'm just like, no, listen, like these are the details that I feel like I need to get out for you to like understand why it's a problem when students at a different school are using Premiere 2024, but we have Premiere 2023. And because you're not updating the labs that are over there, they come over here and it's not opening because they have, so it's like all these like, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't have an answer. My answer is meditation. And I'm sorry, that's about as good as it's gonna get.
Awesome. Well, we are at time. Thank you so much for everybody who came. I might email out some of the links for folks who registered. Thank you so much to the panel of folks who I reached out to like the week before the conference, like, hey, we have a spot open. You guys want to talk about Simple Studios? But thank you guys so much for coming. We hope to see you at some more sessions, and goodbye.
Bye.
Great work, guys.